Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is HD's StarCraft and I'm here to bring you guys a 2 versus 2 in Heart of the Swarm. And I've been casting a 2v2, did one already, and it seems like you guys really enjoyed it. So I thought I'd go ahead and bring back another 2v2 for you guys. And over here in the bottom right hand corner, we'll be looking at Team B. And that is the Pink Jack as the red Protoss player, and his teammate Lilkanen, the blue Terran. So he is going to be making a comeback here in another 2v2 set. Amazing game that he played in the first game I casted. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I think the title of the video is Epic Grandmasters 2v2 Heart of the Swarm, something like that. And I'm not sure what to title this one yet. Hopefully it'll be just as epic as the last one. And their opponents are actually going to be Korean here. So we've got a random Korean dude. He is going to be the teal Zerg player, and his teammate, I guess, is not Korean, but he is illiterate. So he is going to be the purple Zerg. So it's going to be a double Zerg versus Terran and Toss, which means all races are going to be represented here. And going to be interesting to see how a double Zerg composition is going to work. The map is very interesting. Haven't seen this map before. I actually don't play too many team games in Heart of the Swarm currently, but I should start getting on and doing that. But you guys can see here, it is a shared base map. It looks like it is a 4-player or 4-corner spawn type of map. So you could actually have spawned anywhere you wanted to, but just given the way that the game has played out, and you'll see the map is actually more limited vertically than it is more limited horizontally than it is vertically, and that means that the map it's not complete. It is symmetrical across the horizontal axis, actually symmetrical across all the axes, but it is a little interesting when you have the two teams spawning in one side of the map together, like on the bottom or on the top, because that does mean here that I would imagine we're going to have a lot of early aggression to start this game off, especially with the double Zerg composition. And I think that's why Lilkanen and the Pink Jack here are just being very prudent, getting the SCV and the probe inside to find out what's going on. And if they work together here, they might even be able to get a drone or two, although it looks like now they're going to split up, so they are not going to be walking in holding hands anymore, or at least walking out holding hands. So the interesting thing, once again, look at this, we already have illiterate saying I'll Ling Roach Hydra, and we better hope that Mr. Korean dude, yes, he can understand English, and he says he is going to go ahead and go air. Alright, so we're going to have a nice little mix-up of Zerg units here, some on the ground, some on the air. Illiterate says unless he can skip Hydras and go straight to Ultras, which would be really ridiculous if you could pull that off. But in a 2v2, I've seen crazier things, you know, anything is possible. Lilkanen here doing a very good job, very smart to go ahead and wall this off. Doesn't have any backup from his Protoss player, but since the ramp is pretty small for a 2v2 map, it's not too hard to go ahead and wall that off with a couple of buildings, supply depots, and add-ons, which we do have going on right now, and that's just to make sure that they don't get overrun by early game Zerglings. But anyways, as I was saying before, it's very interesting the way this map is designed with the kind of the stretch that we have from the north to the south. It kind of makes it more of, I think, an aggressive map, like I said before, if you had the two players spawning both in the north or both in the south. And since they did both spawn in the south, really there isn't that much space from base to base, and you would imagine that there's going to be a lot of drop play going on this game. We already have impending air units coming in, and what other unit would it be but the Mothership Core? And Literate saying, well, my Queen can beat the Mothership Core, and that is definitely true. A Queen can take down a Mothership Core. Really, the main reason why would you want to ever leave a Mothership Core to try to take out a Queen? It wouldn't be very successful, plus there can always be more Queens spawning out just to confirm that the M Core will die. So in a one-on-one situation too, the Queen will usually win. And now we'll see how the two Zerg players are going to play this out. But like they said, they already told us before, they are going to go, well, the Korean guy is going to go air, and the purple Zerg is looking to go ground here. And that seems to be what they want to do, but we can see already layer is starting up for the teal Zerg. Both of them actually double expanding very rapidly here. And wow, both of them expanding, and on the other side, the Pink Jack is the only player that's actually expanded. The Terran has not yet. It seems like Lilkanen here doesn't want to go for quick expo style. He wants to be aggressive, and he's going with the, whoa, that is so fast. Boosted medevac gets right up into the main base, and is dropping off Widow Mines. Oh no, the Widow Mines are here, and the Widow Mines are going to start detonating on Larva, doing a bunch of damage, almost killing a Queen, almost killing an Overlord. The Overlord now going to be recycled to an Overseer, so it'll have full HP once it comes out. But that was a brilliant blow, not to mention the larva kills that Alokinen was able to get there. Of course, a larva, I believe, has 200 HP, but if it takes too many shots from a Widow Mine, they can die. And that's exactly what happened there. It's probably worthy to note that this is prior to the latest patch, which did reduce the damage of the Widow Mines from 160 to 120, but not a big deal. And we can see here the medevac is going for another boosted attack here. Gonna go ahead and drop off some more mines if they can get down. If they can get down, they are gonna get down. 1 and 2, excuse me, just 1 down on the field, and it was able to get a lot of Zergling kills right there, up to 7 now. And right now, the 2 Korean players in the bottom left-hand corner certainly have their hands full with these Widow Mines. They've got to get detection to make sure that this mine doesn't continue to rack up additional kills. Is there another medevac coming out from Alokinen? No, it looks like he is going to transfer his macro now into more factories, so it looks like he wants to go ahead and produce a bunch of mech-based units. I'm not too sure where that Widow Mine went. It seems like it probably went down. But really, that drop was wildly successful. If you look at the incomes right here, the 2 Zerg players should have more economy than a Protoss and a Terran. They definitely should be around 40 or so workers right now, but the damages that have been already inflicted by those mines have certainly been able to keep the economy under wraps. And, you know, here comes some Zergling counterattacks coming in from the Korean player, and he is going to try to take out a couple of pros, but unsuccessful at that, and Alokinen now is going to go ahead and plant some Widow Mines to back up his teammate's Nexus, so that's going to stay safe for now. We do have, whoa, Oracles and Mothership coming in. Oracles using their attack to take down drones so quickly, and the Mothership Core also, oh wow, they're going to go for the Spire. Now remember, the Oracle, it activates its attack, so once it's run out of energy, it will not be able to attack any longer. The Mothership Core here going to try to draw some fire. It will force the cancellation on the Spire, and that was absolutely critical because the Korean player was planning to go for Spire-based play, and now he's had to cancel it. It looks like he's remaking 2 spires here. I'm not sure where the secondary spire is at. It might be actually, yeah. So he's gonna make a spire not only here, but also make one here, which this was already coming up in the first place. But it's very smart here that he's got a double spire going up at multiple locations. So if anyone falls, he'll still be able to get the air units that he needs to get out on the field. And I'm sure he's banking up quite a bit of minerals and gas for now for those Mutalisks. He's coming up to 600 right now, so expect to see 6 mutas any moment now. As a couple of Zerglings here are going to give a bit of a chase on this SCV, but eventually will get taken down by the tank. And now Alokinen has an expansion of his own, so both players now on 2, actually all 4 players on 2 bases apiece. Workers showing the Zerg, the Teal Zerg is actually racking up quite a bit of SCVs right now, so he's doing a good job of macroing, and he's also going to have those mutas coming out. Count on the Koreans to be able to macro and make them one of the most fearsome units in this point of the game. The Mutalisk, only 11 minutes in, very good macro by him, in fact, and we'll see how effective his micro is. Of course, now Mutalisks do fly a little bit faster, and a little bit more acceleration as well, so they're pretty hard to stop. But we do have a couple of Oracles coming in through the south side. Remember, I was telling you guys that this area between the 2 bases is very vulnerable to drops because of the way the players have spawned. I feel like drops and airplay is going to be absolutely critical. Who can control the airspace? Of course, Oracles can fight back here, but probably not a good idea. He might want to pull back and wait for reinforcements. And it looks like Pingcheck now bringing in a couple of Stalkers using a Time Warp Field. And I thought that only affected ground. Warp space time within the target area. Yeah, it's only ground units, so it doesn't actually work against Mutalisks. Not too sure what he's doing there. He's actually hurting the SCVs down here in the sentries from being able to get in position to push these Mutalisks away. Now SCV is going to try to build missile turrets, and the Time Warp is only ground, FYI, so Illiterate here helping out the enemy team a bit. These mutas are starting to do quite a bit of damage, and they are picking off, they're already killed off, I would say maybe 10 or so workers, and that number hasn't stopped climbing yet. They're going to continue to take out probes at the natural, and now the Terran player's expansion is under attack, but wisely, Alokinen building a couple of missile turrets there, so he is going to be safe. It would be great for him to build a couple of turrets to help out his Protoss player as well, the Pinkjack, and Pinkjack cannot afford to lose the Mothership Core. That would be pretty devastating. Using the Mothership Core's Photon Overcharge ability right there to charge up the Nexus and obviously push the Mutalisks away, and yeah, charging up another Nexus as well. So these mutas have got to get out of there. Now they're just taking damage for no reason at all. And those mutas are doing a great job. Looks like we had a medevac coming around the back here, and I did see a medevac full of Widow Mines earlier on. I'm not sure if Illuminating was able to get his cargo out inside the enemy player's base. It's pretty hard to tell what with, you know, being a 2v2, there's action almost all the time. So it is kind of hard to keep tabs on everything, but I do believe he was able to get in there and do a little bit of damage. We do have a push here of Oracles, but they have got to get out of the way. There's so many Zerg units here. These Oracles are quite expensive, and a Time Warp field against the purple Zerg's ground army could be wildly effective. There once again, the Pink Jack trying to use the Time Warp to stop Mutalisks, but unfortunately, he still doesn't realize that they do not affect air units. So that is actually just a waste of energy. Now the two Zerg players are going to go ahead and expand to the top left-hand side. That's the Korean player and Illiterate. And Illiterate here being pretty literate so far, kind of chatting it up, giving commands to his Korean teammate, telling him, hey, let's do a frontal attack. He certainly has a very large ground army of roaches and hydras. And we'll see if he's going to be able to stage any type of attack there. This medevac at the top will finally go down. It looks like the Korean guy not really bringing much backup. Of course, most of his units are in the form of Mutalisks. We'll see if the Protoss and the Terran, the Pink Jack and Illuminating will be able to make a hold here. I do like the siege tank count and the ground army from the Protoss player. I actually do not feel like Illiterate can make an attack here with just roaches and hydras. Just looking at the raw firepower that the Terran and the Protoss have right now, that would be very hard to do. But the Mutalisks are coming in through the backside, and wow, they have killed off so many SCVs now in the main base. Illuminating down to 32 workers. These Stalkers trying to make a hold here. Meanwhile, the Terran and the Protoss making an attack while the base is losing SCVs. And will the Pink Jack and Illuminating be able to do anything out of this? While the Korean player is taking out his SCVs, finally Stalkers warded away, and it looks like it might just be somewhat of a base trade here as the roaches and hydras come around the backside, but Illuminating backs up, and so does the Pink Jack. Time Warp fields being used to slow the retreat, but the Time Warp wasn't properly placed there. Really only caught the very end of those roaches and hydras. And I feel like Illiterate there was able to get out of harm's way pretty luckily, because those tanks have a lot of range, and a good Time Warp field could certainly have kept them in closing distance of those tanks, and a lot of them could have went down, but luckily for Illiterate they did not. Now it looks like he's going to use the mobility of the Zerg to try to punch a hole through these debris and maybe make an attack over to this expansion of Illuminating. Illuminating also getting another expansion potentially here in the middle of the map. Very aggressive. Hellbats are out, siege tanks are out, and the Protoss and the Terran are making a push here. Illiterate doesn't want to lose these roaches for no reason at all. It looks like both Zerg players are actually going to attack rather than try to defend, so we might just have somewhat of a base trade going on. Cloak Banshee's coming around to the top left expansion as well. Illiterate could lose this hatchery, trying to bring Mutas back, but he doesn't have spores coming up just yet, as that command center goes down. Could not lift out in time, and even if it had been able to, hydras were there to stop it. Looks like a spore was able to come up, and the Mutas were able to clean that up. So this is really crazy right now. It's hard to say who's ahead. The Illuminating certainly has taken a lot of damage this game, though. He's only got 22 workers left, and he's going to lose more SCVs, as the majority of them here are at the center expansion. Roaches and hydras from Illiterate really just blowing through the Protoss players' bases, as the Protoss players' bases are blowing through the Korean Zergs. And this is absolute mayhem right now. I really don't know who is going to come out of this ahead. Looking at the upgrades right now, the Zerg and the it seems like Illiterate has more upgrades overall, but you know, his teammate doesn't have Diddly Squad, and that's because he went for airs. So really, it's tough to say right now. The Zergs do have expansions up here at the top left-hand side that are being controlled and not contested, and they are just ravaging through Illuminating's bases, but Illuminating wisely lifts off his factories and his command center. Is going to try to get out of there. Of course, there are Mutalisks, though. We'll see if he'll be able to survive those Mutalisks as well. The Protoss, unfortunately, doesn't have the ability to lift off a couple of Hellbats here, saying, hey, we got you guys. I don't know about that, though. There is a Photon Overcharge being used. Meanwhile, Pink Jack and Illuminating just ripping through every Zerg building, and I hope that Illiterate is rebuilding spawning pools, layers, and it looks like the Korean Zerg for the moment is, and it looks like Illiterate is as well, so they will have the ability here to reproduce. A lot of hatcheries coming up at the top hand side as well. Hatcheries all over the place, so this game might just reset here. And if it does, I feel like the Pink Jack and Illuminating are definitely going to be at a disadvantage, because while Well, Illuminating can lift off most of his buildings, which he has done, and he can reset them at some point in the game. What about his teammate? He really is out of the game right now. He's got to try to save some of these probes and keep them alive to rebuild his structures. He's got 2,600 minerals banked up, but his probes are all going down. We also have 5 Ultralisks on the way as well. So while Illuminating and the Pink Jack have a very large army, the Zerg is going to have a pretty big army too, with 5 more Ultralisks coming in, and we'll just have to see. This is going to be one of the closest and craziest 2v2s I've had the pleasure of casting in a very long time. We just see drones scrambling all over the place. Look at the mini-map. It's just like mice scurrying to get their cheese, and we'll see what happens here. We do have a rendezvous point set from Illiterate. He says he wants to meet up right here, but that is where the Terran and the Protoss are going to be. It looks like they want to try to make their one stand here. I'm looking at the Terran and Toss armies though, and they are massive. I'm not sure if Illiterate and the Korean teammate will have enough to actually fend this off, so this could just go down to the wire. They're trying to negotiate right now, or not negotiate, but discuss whether or not, you know, some of their options. Should we fight? Should we defend? Looks like the Korean player is saying we might lose here. They have too much units, or too much time. I love how, look at this, Illuminating's so smart. He's brought his command centers and his factories along with the army because he knows once these buildings go down, that is game for their team. They cannot lose these buildings, so he's bringing the buildings here with his army so he doesn't die. It really is going down to the process of elimination right now, and if it goes to that, well, there are hatcheries being planted all over the map. In fact, hatcheries being planted where the Protoss players' once natural expansion was at. There are a couple of probes still alive as well, so maybe the Protoss player can get back into this. But what about the Zergs, man? They're losing hatcheries so quickly right now. It looks like this is really all the Zerg army, the Zerg players have got. Really, that's combined. And the purple Zerg, he doesn't have anything. Excuse me, the pink Zerg doesn't have much, just 13 Mutalisks, so we'll see if the Korean Zerg can bring those Mutalisks in to help fight here. They gotta be careful about this engagement. I don't know about going in here. This is a lot of units, and it looks like the Pink Jack and Illuminating not in the best position concave-wise. Time Warp Field's going down, but I really feel like they have more than enough units to win the fight here. The Pink Jack has left the game. And yeah, that should be it. Wait, the Pink Jack has left the game. Why the hell did he leave the game? That doesn't make any sense. Did he lose all of his buildings? Was he eliminated? No, he's got a Nexus coming up in the bottom right-hand corner. He must have been disconnected or something, but I don't know why he left the game. Now, obviously, his units are now under control of Illuminating, but the fact that the Pink Jack has left this game has got to spark the 2 Zerg players here and give them some type of feeling here that they can still win this game. Now it's basically a 1 versus 2, but of course all of these Protoss units are under control of the Terran player, and I don't know, this is interesting. We'll see how this plays out, but the Zergs are certainly, I mean, they're not out of it yet, but right now they are the hunted. And Illuminating, he is the hunter, and he is trying to hunt the Zergs into extinction right now, and really it's just a process of elimination. Now, I love what the Korean Zerg is doing. He's just saturating like crazy and trying to macro up as much as possible. The purple Zerg, Illiterate, has no idea what to make. By the time I make stuff, I mean really, by the time he makes stuff, yeah, those units are just absolutely obliterated. Maybe defensive structures, maybe making a bunch of spines and whatnot could halt the advancement of these troops, but then again, you look at all the tanks here, and they can just blow through any defensive unit, defensive buildings at a range, and you know, this is the power of having 2 races combined. Protoss and Terrans, they join hands in, and you've got a real problem here if you're just solely Zerg. We'll see what happens here. I love the positioning, the placement here by the Korean Zerg. Finds a couple of wayward expansions from the Protoss and Terran and is going to try to take them out. And he should be successful in doing that. The Nexus is going to fall. Let's look at the units here for some of the players. Obviously, blue and red are now combined into just blue, but that is the blue and red players' forces. It's pretty big, but it's not unstoppable, I feel like. If the Zergs can just make something out of their larva, they still have all the workers that they could possibly hope for, but then you look at the Zerg, and they only have got 48 Zerglings and 4 Mutalisks. And Illiterate doesn't know what to make right now. In fact, you know, is he out of money? Not really. He's got 500, 800. He just doesn't have an answer right now as to what unit to make. And really, He doesn't know what to do. I don't think any Zerg player here knows what to do. A lot of Zerglings flooding down, some mutas coming from the top-hand side, but do they actually have enough to run over this large of an army? I don't think so. I really don't. And of course, all of these have +1/+1 at the very least, so that just makes it a little bit more difficult for 0/0 Zerglings to really even put a dent into an army like that. So, man, hatcheries just continuing to go down. It's like we're watching Ring Around the Rosier right now. Alukanin is just making his rounds clockwise around the map. He's the Night's Watch, and he's just obliterating anything he sees in his path. Queens, tumors, spawning pools, nothing is given mercy at all, and he takes no prisoners. He is just on the death march right now. He's trying to avenge for his fallen brother due to, I don't know what, maybe it's a broken router or internet or something, but I don't know why his teammate left the game. It had to be by a mistake. Because they certainly have the upper hand right now in this game, and they are continuing on this march of death. Will the Zerg players be able to recover? Even if they do, they've got to take out these floating buildings too, so they've got to make a unit that can hit air. They're still discussing right now through chat as to what to do, and you know, I'm looking at this from a caster's perspective, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what can they do right now? They certainly have all the drones in the world, 26 and 14. The Terran and the Protoss have absolutely nothing. They're trying to make hatcheries. I feel like since this army is moving, obviously, in a pattern here, in a clockwise pattern, make a decoy hatchery here in the top left-hand corner, and then make a hatchery where that army leaves, right behind it, so you get some mining out of there. I think that would be the best thing, and then try to get, maybe, I guess Muta is really the answer here, because if you can blow through all the Stalkers, and dear God, that's a lot of Stalkers, and the Thor, then finally you can take out the Terran buildings. Obviously, you cannot rely on Roaches or Zerglings here. Don't waste your money on a unit that will not be able to guarantee you to win the game. And you need a unit that can hit the air. So, I don't know, that I guess mutas really are the only thing here. The Korean player here saying that he thinks they've lost. Are they in a position of checkmate here? Can they come back and win this game? I'm watching this hatchery won't survive. No, trying to hide in the darkness, and unfortunately, you can't play hide and go seek with hatcheries, man. They tend to let themselves. They tend to give up their location pretty easily. Look at these tanks, man. Some of them are barely alive. Look at this guy right here. He's got 1 HP with 40 kills. He's a 40-kill commander tank. This guy's a true grizzled old veteran. And, well, basically, I feel like now at this point, Illiterate and the Korean Zerg have spent all their money making hatcheries to try to stay in the game. Never give, I guess he's trying to say never give up, I don't know, but they spent all their bank trying to remake hatcheries and whatnot, and I guess they're trying to get money to go into these hatcheries so they can make something out of it, but they don't have spawning pools. Even if they get the hatchery up, they need a spawning pool, they need a spire, they need a layer to get to a spire. Oh god, this is just brutal to watch. They need to use these overlords and try to poop creep out of them, but to get the ability to poop creep, you need a layer. And when you lose your layer, you lose the ability to generate creep. So this is just absolutely terrible. Now they did do what I thought they should do, which is make hatcheries right where the wake, the aftershock of these forces are moving. So they, oh god, what are those mutas trying to do? They're trying to burn the command. Oh my god, if they can get some attacks left on these factories now. This command center is dead unless he can drop, unless Alukanin drops it down and makes a mule. Then he can repair. I'm not sure if Alukanin realizes this, but he doesn't have any SCVs to repair his buildings. He needs to land this command center and make a mule to repair. There we go. Because if all these buildings catch on fire, then that's it. They're going to lose this game, but very smartly there. Brings out the mules, and does he have enough money to repair? Yeah, oh yeah, he's got more than enough cash. Just repair it to get it out of the red, and now bring them back up in the air and try to repair while these buildings are floating away. That was very smart. The mules, just call them the firefighters, man. The fire brigade has been called down, and they are dousing this command center. Oh, but the mutas are coming in. Now, the buildings are a lot slower than the army is, so, oh, those mutas, there's only 4 on the map. Whew. They are really playing a thin line. They're walking a fine line right now. Now another hatchery that's come up in the bottom right hand corner. They got to make something happen out of these hatcheries. Trying to make a lair right now. But, well, it looks like the Pink Jack and Alukanin, or Alukanin at the very least, is moving his army down to the bottom right hand corner. So these hatcheries will have a little bit more time to live, which is good. I almost feel like at this point, Alucanian should split up the army, you know, go into multiple locations at once. No reason to leave them all clumped up at, like this, but I guess what he doesn't realize is the Zergs really don't have that much of an army at all, so there isn't that much of a threat for him to split his army up. There's only 47 Zerglings and 4 Mutalisks, but he's playing it safe rather than sorry. And it looks like he's just going to take out another hatchery, so they got nowhere to hide their buildings. Yeah, I don't know what they can do. There is a Spire coming up for the purple Zerg player. He's got a ton of gas. Now, if the teal Zerg can funnel him minerals, then we might see about 10 or so Mutalisks coming out. This could be the moment of truth. Ladies and gentlemen, these 4 Mutas gotta stay alive as well. Every Mutalisk counts right now. But the question is, will it be enough Mutalisks to actually win and come back in this game? We'll have to see. The Spire is going to be about another minute before it finishes. Money is being mined right now. It looks like the Teal Zerg has banked up 600 minerals, and now he's out of there, so he's evacuating the area. Elvis has left the building. Spawning pool is going to go down. That's okay. They've got to make a new building somewhere on the map, though. It looks like we do have another hatchery up here, and I'm guessing those drones are going to go make a hatchery over here in the top right-hand corner. Spire is about to finish. He's got to funnel his minerals over to the Korean Zerg player, or illiterate, excuse me. Oh, no! Why was the Spire canceled? Oh no! I'm not sure what happened right there, but we do have another Spire coming from Illiterate. So Illiterate actually had 2 Spires coming up. He's gonna cancel the one that I thought was the only one, but he has a second one back here from the generated creep, so he's okay. But this army is coming in right now. He's got to send the money right now. Illiterate needs to get the cash so he can make his units. The Korean Zerg sends his money. He sent all the money out. The Spire is about to finish. Alright, so we're gonna have about 12 mutas, 11 mutas coming out. He's gotta make these mutas right now. 3. Uh-oh, he doesn't have enough larva. Oh no! Oh no! He can only make 3 mutas! And the Spire is going to go down! He makes 1 more Mutalisk, he squeezes it out. Pinch, but it's not gonna be enough! Oh, that's brutal. That's so brutal. This hatchery was just about to finish. And that has gotta be the dagger. Oh no, that was absolutely terrible. And honestly, can you share larva? I don't think you can. So that's a clever idea, but I don't think that actually works. Now, are they gonna try to stay in this and make more Mutalisks? I don't know. 1 more, so he was able to punch out. How many mutas do we have on the map? 8 mutas total. I don't know if that's enough, guys. Not against this many stalkers. Not against 20 stalkers. At the very least, you need 20 Mutalisks, I think, to even have a chance. And at this point, Illiterate, he has a lot of bank. You know, don't get me wrong, he's got more than enough cash. He needs to make a spawning pool right now and try to rebuild. But it's almost like I feel like they've lost all hope now. I don't know. They're still discussing. Koreans are saying, "I'll give you any cash you need to stay in this game and continue playing." The Terran player, I think he could drop a bunch of meals right now and repair his tanks, repair the stock. You can repair stalkers with meals. You can. You can repair this entire army. Can be repaired back up to full HP. So it's actually kind of crazy that Alucanian hasn't done that just yet. Watch these meals. If they do finish off this, we do have mutas coming in here. Nice play by the teal and the purple Zerg, picking off those meals. That's very smart, because while the meals are unlimited, they do take time to regenerate that energy. That was a nice play, but does it guarantee them to win? I don't know. These 2 tanks are somewhat exposed. These stalkers, they don't have blink. I would love to see those mutas go in for a snipe. Obviously, this is being shared, controlled now, and the teal Zerg player, the Korean Zerg, on top of micro, which is, you know, obviously that's what you'd want. But is it going to be enough? I don't know. Is he making any more mutas? They're trying to make a spawning pool, and then after the spawning pool, they got to make a lair, and then after the lair, they got to make a spire. Oh no, this is just going to take so long to do. And the mutas, he could snipe a tank, but no, he's not. Actually, really sniping the tanks here doesn't matter. What he needs to do, obviously, is beat down the anti-air units or beat down the structures. And there are openings here. There are windows for the structures to be taken down every so often because they linger behind the army, but I don't know. There are a lot of Zerglings still on the map here, so these Zerglings could be vital. We'll have to see. The mutas are coming in. They're doing a little bit of damage. Gotta be careful. That Thor takes It does so much damage every time it fires with the javelin missile launchers. It's no joke. AoE splash for the win, and that Thor is one of the reasons why this Terran player, this team is still alive. Muta regen is strong, he says. It is pretty good. He's regenerating out of combat right now, as all Zerg units do. Do we have another Spire on the way? We do have a lair coming from Illiterate. He needs to... Alright, this hatchery is going to go down, so he needs to hide a Spire somewhere on the map. Getting Burrow Tech would be pretty smart as well for those Zerglings. Oh god, the mutas are going in. This is gonna be it. Now the Zerglings have to take out the Thor. This is great. The army is split into 2 different pieces, and that Thor is going to go down. And now the main unit that was the threat for these mutas has been taken out. Now these 6 or so mutas can pull out and regenerate their HP. That was absolutely brilliant. The main core unit is down. Now it's just down to these 20 stalkers. Actually, yeah, it's still 20 stalkers to keep this army alive and to win this game. Oh my god, this is incredible. And they say they win here. There's another Spire coming, and look at the bank that Illiterate has saved up here. 3k, almost 2k gas. The Korean Zerg has obviously funneled everything he's got. They're running on fumes right now. Not Illiterate, but the Korean Zerg is. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. If this Spire comes up, and I hope to god he's gonna have enough lair. It looks like Larva this time. It looks like he does have a couple extra hatcheries. Although this hatchery will probably die here. That layer will die, so he needs to make another hatchery. Yeah, there we go. Smartly placing another one down so he'll have enough larva. Oh my god, if he can get these 20 Mutalisks out, I think that might be enough to win him this game. Now, I'm trying to check the upgrades on his Mutalisks. I'm not too sure where they are. Oh, he's going in! I don't know, he's got 0-0 upgrades. He's gonna try to pick out these tanks. Great job there, sniping the tanks down. Now, it looks like the Zerglings also found some Stalkers underneath as well, and several Stalkers taking damage right there. It looks like in total, 3 Stalkers went down, and that was great for them because, you know what? Alilkanine cannot remake anything. Alilkanine, aka Pink Jack, whatever you want to say, he can't remake anything. He has no way to reproduce, although he could land down the command centers and try to re-macro back into this game. I'm surprised he hasn't yet. But he cannot remake Stalkers, obviously, the core anti-air unit. And the Zerg player, well, guess what? They are now producing 9 Mutalisks, trying to suck up the larva as quickly as possible. He's got enough gas for another 8.5 mutas. Wow, this is insane. And right now, I think the best option for the 2 Zerg players, regroup, rendezvous the muta count, and build it into the blob of death. And then move in and try to take out, but Alilkanine's gonna land down his orbital command. Now, if he can start mining and building up some missile turrets, he could re-macro into this game. I think he is gonna try to do it. He's gonna mule up and SCV up. No, he's gonna lift off once again. So I guess the thing here is if he stays behind and he tries to re-macro, the disadvantage is he cannot win by being offensive, obviously. He has to keep his entire army at home to defend the buildings. And that means that obviously he can't win the game right away. He's going to have to hope to re-macro. He really, obviously, this shows that his mindset is he wants to win the game now. Does he have enough in him to hold off the muta clump, though? I don't know. These mutas are 0-0. The Stalkers are 1-1-1. So that is an absolutely big difference you have to account for. This is so interesting. I don't know how this is going to play out. I definitely feel like Alilkanine, at this point, he's been running the ring around the Rosie for like 15 minutes. At some point, you've got to say, all right, I'm going to land my buildings down and try to macro out of this situation. He's got to be careful, though. He's going to take a lot of damage here. Oh, my God, the orbital command shouldn't go down. That is absolutely critical. And at this point, Alilkanine's got to realize he's got to land his buildings down and start to mine. He's got to land it here, start to rebuild his structures. Yeah, there we go. He cannot hope to win because he's got to understand at this point, all right, that muta clump is getting bigger and bigger, which means the Zergs have a Spire on the map, they have money, and they're mining, so he's got to make his hold right here. The 1-1-1 Stalker's doing a pretty good job. He's got to land this orbital command down, make some SCVs, and the first building he needs to get is an engineering bay for missile turrets. Oh my God, these mutas are just doing so much damage. Will there be enough? The orbital command has fallen! The orbital command has fallen, and that is GG. Unbelievable game, absolutely ridiculous. 2v2 in Heart of the Swarm, and really we didn't see any Heart of the Swarm units, but that was an insane game. Overall, StarCraft 2, haven't seen one like that in a while. Absolute wildness. Base race all the way to the end. And finally, the 2 Zerg players are victorious. Incredible. I really hope you guys enjoyed this cast. I'm actually out snowboarding right now, but I precasted these games right before I left. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, do check me out. I'm at YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at HD StarCraft. I'll have more StarCraft 2 replays coming out for you guys. And you know what? If you guys have or know anybody playing really good Heart of the Storm games, feel free to go ahead and have them send them in to me at hdreplays@gmail.com. That's it for today, guys, and this is HD StarCraft. I'm signing out.